Welcome once more to this evening conversation, the 9th virtual conference series of our COVID-19 that we titled Turning Crisis into Opportunities. Our topic this evening is Southern and Middle Belt Coalition, the Panacea to Nigerians' existential crisis. That's a big question. Will the coalition of these three regions give us the much needed solution to what we witness in Nigeria today? Our guest this evening, we have Chief Goddy Uwazurike. Chief Goddy Uwazurike is a lawyer and the former president of Aka-Ikenga, a socio-cultural group. We have also Honorable Jonathan Asake, and Jonathan Asake is the president of the Southern Kaduna People's Union, SOKAPU. Also, we have our sister in the house from the Niger Delta, Ann-Kio Briggs. Many of you would have known her from all her struggle and all her stands on issues that are not easy for people to dabble into. She is a distinguished human rights activist and also the CEO of Agape Birthrights. Now we also have Otunba, Hashim, Olabode, Osenie, who is a UK-based political and public affairs commentator. We have house rule this evening. If you're here with us, please ensure that if you turn your camera on, that you're going to you are dressed appropriately. Before we kickstart, I will be handing over to the moderator, Mr. Daniel Elumba, who is also the CEO of Elumba Communications. This evening conversation is sponsored by, and is being brought to you by Governance Index. We thank Governance Index for making this platform possible. Governance Index, if you don't know, is a social enterprise dedicated to promoting purposeful leadership around the world. Mr. Daniel Elumba, over to you.
Well, yes, I wouldn't have much comment to make except to observe that Nigeria is facing an existential crisis. The COVID-19 situation has further shown the fact that the country needs to reform or die. Right now, we are facing severe economic crisis. There is a rise in ethnic nationalism. Nigeria is here to have a free and fair election. So I think now is the time to start having this conversation. So that's why we have these guests tonight to speak on this subject. Where will the solution come from? How will the Southern and Middle Belt Forum take the bull by the horn to see how they will cooperate to restructure the federation to serve the interest of all its citizens? So let's start to hear from them. The first speaker.
Thank you very much, Dan. We will start by calling on Honorable Jonathan Asake. Now, two things, Honorable. Before you go on to make your presentation this evening, many of us who are not in the crisis-prone area would want to know, first of all, from you, what is the situation report from Southern Kaduna? Then you can go ahead and make your presentation. Honorable, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Yep, thank you. Well, the situation report right now in Southern Kaduna is a bit calm, even though 2 days, is it yesterday, there was attack in another community in Zangon Kataf. And the attackers were repelled, though they succeeded in killing 2 people. But they were repelled because they came in a very large number. And so it was not a successful attack. But we have heard the federal government, you know, they have increased the presence of the military in the area. And we are hoping that this will bring a solution. But however, we still insist that the communities that have been displaced, in fact, in just 4 local governments, 109 communities have been displaced, and they are living in neighboring communities or in IDP camps. And so that has created a very serious humanitarian crisis for the area. And that is the main issue right now.
Excuse me, sorry. Is it from me or that we don't hear what he's saying? Daniel, can you confirm?
I'm hearing him loud and clear.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you. Go on.
Okay. So I said like that. What the problem is still right now that is still lingering is that we have 109 communities in just 4 local governments that have been displaced. And some of these communities have been displaced for about 5 years now. And their children have been out of school for these 5 years, some for 2 years, some 1 year. So it has created a very serious humanitarian crisis, contrary to what the Governor El-Rufai said, that there is no community that has been displaced. When he called the traditional rulers from the southern Kaduna and challenged them that there is no community that has been displaced. But one thing that stands clear, of the traditional rulers he called there, one of them was missing. The traditional ruler that is supposed to represent the Adara community, which has been worst hit by these attacks. And their paramount ruler, if you will recall, was kidnapped and killed. And since then, no new ruler, no new traditional ruler has been appointed. But what he has done is that he has created an emirate in a place that is just not up to 2% of Muslims. But the emirate is an Islamic chiefdom. Now, when they gave that challenge to the traditional rulers, the Adara people did not have a traditional ruler to respond to him because there are over 54 communities of the Adara communities that have been displaced. And most of them were afraid because they know what will happen, what will follow if they tell him that they have communities in their domain that have been displaced. And so this is one thing that we have continued to see, the complicity of the governor in everything that is happening with the genocide that is taking place in southern Kaduna, by his utterances, by his actions, by his inactions. Everything suggests complicity. For instance, when the killing started, we all remember that, we all can recall when he said that he knows the killers. He has traced them to 16 countries and he has paid them money to stop killing. And he said they were Fulani herdsmen, and that the reason they come to kill was that during the 2011 crisis, some of them were passing through southern Kaduna communities and they were killed. They were caught up in that inferno. Now, he did not tell anybody how much he paid them, with which money he paid them, and where he made them and he paid them up till now. And the killings have not stopped. But he keeps reversing himself. He keeps contradicting his narratives. The next narrative he told the world was that it was on channel television, that it is the religious leaders, the bishops and our pastors that are instigating the killings so that they can go and source for money overseas, claiming to rebuild their churches and their communities. Then he came up with another narrative recently. It was about 5 days ago. He was on channels. He claimed that it is the elites of Southern Kaduna that are instigating the killings, and that is what our elites have been doing, so that when the killings are ongoing, then they will now seek for attention with government, and government will give them what he called brown envelopes. And then another narrative, that's the fourth narrative, that it is the communities that are being attacked, that are being invaded, that are engaged in reprisals, they're engaged in communal clashes. And so he keeps bringing new narratives, misleading the world with the reality of what is taking place in Southern Kaduna. But as I'm talking now, we are compiling what is taking place in Southern Kaduna, local government by local government, community by community. And we have had a sitting with the UN, and we have given them some of these statistics, that today over 109 communities, like I said, are out of their community, are out, they have been pushed out and taken over. And every night, this is the new thing that is happening, every night, these Fulani militia go into the farms of the indigents, and they use cutlass to cut down the farms and destroy them. And by daytime, they push their cattle into the farms. It is now the farming season, into those, and they destroy them. So, and none of them up till now has been apprehended. But the governor has instead appeared to be the spokesperson of the police. In fact, the police PPRO no longer makes statements of the attacks that are taking place. It is the governor. He is the one that explains why the attacks must take place. He is the one that justifies why the attacks are taking place. And so by every of his actions and his inactions and his utterances, it suggests that the governor's hands are not clean in what is going on in the attacks in our communities. The last time I told you that Zangon Katab local government, which has been attacked, he imposed a curfew since the 11th of June. And since that time he imposed the curfew, over 70 people have been killed. None of these invaders have been apprehended. None is being prosecuted. And if the communities apprehend these invaders, there are situations that the communities have arrested the invaders and handed them over to the security agencies. But all we see is that they are paraded on television before the media, and that's it. And so what we have right now is that the governor has continued to insult our traditional rulers, intimidate everyone. He has continued to intimidate even our political leaders. He has continued to intimidate even our religious leaders, insulting every one of them. So it is like what is playing out in Kaduna State. It's like it's no longer a democracy. It's like even the worst of dictatorship cannot do some of the things that we are experiencing in Southern Kaduna under the watch of the governor. And of course, I have personally come to the conclusion that these things are happening. These things are happening because votes don't count. So we need to restructure this country. There is the need for a restructured Nigeria. He has, before the 2019 elections, he told the world that he doesn't need the votes of Southern Kaduna. And where votes count, one vote can make somebody to lose election or to win. But when you look at a whole section of a state, 12 local governments out of 23, and you tell them to their face that you don't need their votes, you will still win election, and you went ahead to win the election, then something must have happened. So we need restructuring. We need restructuring of our national institutions that have become so weak that we can have leaders that are immersed in dictatorship and nothing happens. They can insult their very electorates and nothing happens. And that is where we find ourselves. Now, when he appeared on television channels again, he was asked the question whether he has done any infrastructural development in Southern Kaduna. He said yes, that the biggest budget he has is in Southern Kaduna. But how false that is. In Southern Kaduna, since 2015, the only road that was started before he's coming in as governor, that road is the road from Zonkwa through Ayagan to Kafanchan. That road is still uncompleted today. It has not been finished. It has not been done. But all the projects that he claims is executing in Southern Kaduna, they are cited within the Hausa Fulani Muslim community. There are schools that are being built, concrete cast, precast. The one in Jama local government is right inside within the fence of the emirate. The indigents cannot get there. They cannot go to school there. The one in Kachia is right within the community of the Hausa Fulani. The one within Kasama Gani is the same thing within the community of the Hausa Fulani. Now, all the projects he has in Southern Kaduna are located within the Hausa Fulani community. So that is something very strange. But he is the first person to call the people of Southern Kaduna, the indigenous people of Southern Kaduna, bigots. But there is no bigotry expressed more than this. Now, in Chukun local government, when he came in, there were 13 districts that made up the chiefdom of Chukun, that is the Bagi chiefdom. He dissolved those districts and left only 2. But the other 2, out of those 2, he brought in a Fulani man from only God knows where to be the district head. So there are 2 district heads in the Bagi chiefdom. But a Fulani man is now a district head in one of the districts. And now they have written that they want an emirate. And we heard it, that already it has been concluded that an emirate is going to be created in Bagi chiefdom, where you have only Bagis that are not Muslims. The same thing goes, he has created an emirate in Kagarko local government. That is a local government in the southern part where we have only indigents there, with settler communities of the Hausa Fulani. But he has created an emirate there. He has created an emirate in Kauru, another local government within Kaduna South Senatorial District. He has created an emirate, so 3 emirates now, and there is a settler community again in Jere, in Dangoma, Zangon Kata. We have it on good authority that he has concluded plans to create emirates in those places. Now, if these emirates are created, that means that all over Southern Kaduna, where we have indigenous communities, where we had our chiefs, and they had been taken over by emirates. Emirs have been created to now take charge of the lands of southern Kaduna. And that informs his desperation to go back to revisit the Zangon Katam 1992 crisis, 28 years after that crisis, which came out of a disagreement on the location of a market between the Katab indigenous community and the settler Hausa community. But today he is creating a narrative, misleading the world that the genocide going on across southern Kaduna today, where the Fulani militia are attacking communities across the local governments of southern Kaduna, that it is having a link with that crisis. It is not true. There is no link. That crisis took place as a result of disagreement on the location of a market, and a committee was formed. The committee made their findings. Another reconciliation committee was formed in 1995, headed by the late Air Vice Marshal Mwazu, and they brought a white paper. Most of the recommendations have been implemented. So we wonder why he is not revisiting the 2011 post-presidential election crisis, which the federal government formed a committee, a judicial commission of inquiry. They
Mr.
had
Asake.
a white paper
Mr.
with
Asake.
recommendations. Yes.
Mr. Sorry for interrupting. We thank you very much. I think you have given us enough background now of what is happening in Southern Kaduna. We know you will still come up to make further recommendations later, further presentations. But if you finish everything you are going to say now, I know that there are still people who will ask questions on what you have said. So if you don't mind, if you wouldn't mind to pause at this moment, so we can listen to the other presenters as well. And then when the questions start coming, you can now further elucidate on the situation that we are seeing in Southern Kaduna at the moment. I hope that's acceptable to you, sir.
That's okay.
Yeah, we thank you very much. Yes. So if we, Chief Goddy Uwazurike is here now. I don't know whether he's ready to give his presentation on the topic we have at hand. If I can. Mazi, are you able to identify his location? Mazi, are you muted? I'm not able to identify Chief Goddy Uwazurike's position. So please, Chief Uwazurike, if you are with us, can you unmute yourself and start your video so we can listen to your presentation? Oh, did he leave? Maybe his network failed him.
I cannot see him as participant here.
Okay.
Goddy Uwazurike, I'm not sure he's a participant here. I checked through the participants, he's not there.
Oh, I see. Okay, let's have Ms. Briggs, please, who is with us at the moment. Ms. Briggs, if you are ready to make your presentation, we'll be happy to listen to you. I think you are still muted, right?
Okay, I've unmuted myself. Okay. Well, I mean, let me flow from what Jonathan has said. The problem that we should be addressing is the concern. First of all, I have, as a Southerner and a Niger Delta or South person, being a Christian, I recall some of these things that Jonathan have said. The very serious one I recall is the one where El Rufai had said that he had paid the Fulani headsmen to stop coming in to kill people in southern Kaduna. Then we were also reminded, and if you Google it, you will see it, where occasionally, I think as far back as 2012, he had assured Nigerians that anyone who kills a Fulani person, whether it is 200 years from now or whatever, that they will come back. For vengeance. Now, this is coming from someone who is a governor now, and who is talking in a way that if any other person, a few days ago, Obadiah was called in by the DSS, and then the former speaker also have been invited. There are issues of hate speech. Now, these things, I know that El-Rufai is covered by what's it called? He's covered by, oh God, why am I missing the word?
Immunity.
Immunity, thank you, God bless you. He's covered by immunity for now, but that does not stop us from making a point out of it. It is this same El-Rufai that in 2019 threatened the international community that if they intend to come in and interfere in the election of Nigeria, that they will go back in body bags. Now, if you put all of these things together, in my opinion, you can begin to see the threats that we face as a people. Southerners who have come together. The Southerners are made up of the Niger Delta ethnic nationalities, which is a lot, the Yoruba nation, and Ndibo, and then the Middle Belt, the people of the Middle Belt. Now, if we see what is happening vividly, as is being described to us by Jonathan, from the videos and the pictures that we've been seeing in the past 5 years that go up and down, you know. And right now, at this particular time in 2020, what they are doing in southern Kaduna, my concern is that I believe that whatever it is, that the strategy that is being put down, what they are doing, when I say they, the terrorists, the headsmen, whatever anybody chooses to identify them as, they are the they. Whatever they are doing, I have no doubt that there is a plan to bring it to make it happen in the southwest, and of course it has taken place in the southwest. Hence, they have Amatekun. It is taking place in the southeast over a long period of time as well. Maybe not as much as in the Middle Belt, but definitely the people of the Southeast cannot say that they are not worried. If you drive down to Umuahia, Enugu, if you go along those paths, if you come to Port Harcourt, if you come to River State, you will see them near the airport, in the major places. In my community, they are in people, strangers in every community. So now, where does that take us? For me, that takes us to the policies of government that is supported by the 1999 Constitution. We've been saying these things about the Constitution. We last week it has been confirmed. I run an NGO that, as far as this government is concerned, by the law that the president have just signed, that anybody, that they can remove my board members, they can remove me perhaps if they like, they can remove anybody in the church and put anybody that they want. We've heard Jonathan tell us that they are creating emirates in places that they're not supposed to be, mainly Christian places. So we now know that the issue this will lead us to the issue of Sharia law and things like that. So the question is, I mean, how long are we going to, are we just going to discuss this and sit down? What in the name of God are there going to be as actions? What actions are we going to take? This is a government that the way it is going now, if you come out to say you're protesting, they will arrest you. They will do all kinds of stuff. So everybody wants to stay alive, including me. Everybody wants to be free, including me. But the problem really is that we must ask ourselves, is this living? I mean, people that speak Igbo will understand when I say that we are at a point where my grandmother used to say, "Odendu onwu kama." I mean, this is a terrible situation for anybody to find themselves in, where they begin to ask these valid questions and fearful questions as to, like, are we free? And if we think we are free, the things that we don't want to discuss, are they really keeping us free? Are we safe? You know, and the things that we don't want to discuss, are they going to keep us safe? I mean, people that are not Nigerians or Igbo or Niger Delta people or Yoruba people are worried. People call me and ask me, my relatives abroad, they call me and ask me, my friends, you know, like, what are you people doing? This thing looks so horrific for us looking inwards into Nigeria. So basically, it's no longer an issue of, if we call Jonathan tomorrow, he will describe, if we are lucky, he will not describe it as bad as this, but he will still describe something. But horrifyingly, he may describe something that is far worse than he's describing now. So please, let us begin to make decisions. What will we do? What should we do? What shall we do? I don't know. Some people can leave Nigeria. Some people can get away from Nigeria. But the majority of Nigerians, our relatives, our loved ones, cannot get away from Nigeria. So what are we going to do? For me, it's horrifying, quite honestly. And the president is incredible. We're talking about Mali. We are condemning Mali. What is anybody condemning Mali for? That Malians got tired of what Nigerians are going through now, and then some young men who are probably victims by their ethnic nationality or by their location acted on behalf of the majority of the people, and Nigeria is saying that what Mali did is wrong. Anybody who says what Mali did is wrong, how is it that they've allowed it to go on like this? I don't know.
We thank you, Ms. Briggs. A lot of people are already raising up their hand, but please, it is not yet time to start asking questions. Hopefully in the next 20 minutes, our guests will have made their presentations, and then we'll start taking questions. So keep your questions ready, please. When it's time to ask questions, we'll let you know. Otunba, please. Are you ready to make your presentations? Otunba, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Dan. It's my pleasure, and I want to appreciate the organizer of the COVID-19 crisis into opportunity, sponsored by Governance Index. My own take is a little bit different from what my sister and my brother, what they've said. I just want to look at the problem from another angle. And I'm also aware that this discussion is being recorded, and hopefully it will be played to prosperity as time goes on. My concern is that we most of the time only talk about the effects of our problem, that we hardly go straight to dissect the cause and causes of our problem. like Obafemi Awolowo said, when cause and cause of the problem is not known, is not dealt with, the effect will continue. The situation in Nigeria is because we have not chosen to discuss the causes of the problem, so we can sit down and make sure that we look for solution. I'm also aware that far back 1914, it's 100 years from today, or if you want to choose the lesser figure of 60 years ago, when we got independence, it was a situation when we were left by the colonial master in such a terrible situation. They disarranged many things. They left us in such a bastardized situation. But then, unfortunately, a few of us who took over the reins of power chose to go evil way. They chose not to sit down to fix them. Fix the problem means to me now with these people, be it in the north, west, south, cannot say that there was a contraption. They just imposed governance on us in such a manner that one part of the country is favored and the other one is being denied. But even at that, I'm looking at a situation where we should have chosen to fix the problem and say, well, look, these bad masters, they're gone. This country is going to be you and I and others. We need to fix the place so we can have a conducive atmosphere, a conducive arrangement to live our life together. But that wasn't the case, and that gave me a concern that that be that right from beginning of this relationship, we don't love each other, we are not kind to each other, we don't relate to anybody. So we just, as far as we are concerned, because I've been made a chief, and so I can trample, I can take advantage of others, and so on and so forth. That again is an indictment on all of us around that time, that we did not do the needful, fix the problem. Because if you have chosen to fix the problem around that time, we've known that there must be a need to come together right from the beginning, that whether you are from the north, south, west, Nigeria belongs to all of us. We must live in a country where at least we should be governed by a rule of law. We should be governed by some, in fact, we could have included some traditional way of our life, but we did not do that. And so today, if we are talking about the southern Kaduna, we're talking about the problem in southern and I mean, what's the other place? The problem in other parts of the country, or the most of the part, substantial part of the country that are now agitating that they want to break away, they want to go away, they have enough and all that kind of thing. These are just effects. These are just effects of the problem. And that's why I'm thinking, because I'm thinking after I have covered 3 scores and 10 plus 3, I'm looking at how many more years do I have? And also, I'm also looking at my situation that I want to thank the Almighty that I'm lucky I'm not in this situation where millions of people are suffering. I'm covered here for I mean, at least I'm covered with the state benefits and some other things, and I can enjoy that till the day I die. So, but when I look at the millions of our people, whether from south, southwest, and other parts of the country in the north, going through this kind of thing, I don't know why we having to be discussing the problem of our brothers who are Christian or Muslim being maimed and killed by Boko Haram or by the headman in South Kaduna, and so on and so forth. And we're having this kind of terrible leaders. We allow them to parade themselves to do a lot to commit and perpetuate a lot of atrocities. One of the biggest atrocities is the amount of corruption. And the other atrocities I can imagine is some people that are supposed to be the servant of the state, of the people, talking to you or behaving so badly, so ignorantly, and they know what they are doing. But you see, the question somebody will be asking is, how do you rectify this? And that's why that brings me to where we need to sit down. We will have to sit down, because I'll tell you something. When I look at the values and the amount of against our diversity, the unity, the strength we can put together as a big country like Nigeria, it makes me wonder that the only thing that is dividing us is this scattered thing, the way we think. So we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to get ourselves together and listen to ourselves, rearrange, readdress, redesign our unity, our togetherness. Oh yes, some people will say, look, what are you talking about? We have been talking about this the last 60 years. But now I now look back and say, well, it's okay, maybe let's try one more time. And I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to make incitement here. Let us try one more time. Let's put more pressure on those who does not want us to restructure the country. Because one of the one of the best solutions I can see is if we agree to restructure, let all the area, the states or whatever, restructure, let them take off again at their own speed, at their own pace. Everybody will be happy. You understand me? Those who are already doing 70 miles an hour can accelerate or whatever. And those who are still maybe 40 or 50, they can also continue at a little bit higher speed. That is not bad. That is not unusual. The making of a nation, everybody in a country cannot all be the same. And this in a country like UK, America, and some other places, yes, some people will say their benefit was because they speak one language. At the same time, in these two countries, like I'm making an example, or in Sweden or Norway, they are all the nationalities of this country in these countries. All the religion of this world are present in this country. So everybody is still, nobody is crying of marginalization and so on and so forth. So I'm thinking and I'm believing that once we agree, we need to put more pressure. That we have to sit down. We have to sit down, because to avoid unnecessary war, to avoid unnecessary bloodshed and all that kind of thing, there is a need for us to sit down, to go back to the drawing board and rearrange the way forward. If we do not agree with that, the calamity, most of us will not like it. Like I was trying to say before, we do not need another war. We don't need another bloodshed. So for me, it is better to put more pressure, and it's not impossible. And once we achieve the restructuring and so on and so forth, and like I said, every state can use their different speed. When I look at a state in America called California, California is the 5th largest economy in the world. In America, there are some other states in New York or Washington that may not have the same resources and so on and so forth. So our own is not going to be different. But I want us to understand one thing. If we do not do what I just holistically, the danger is we might have to go through. I think there's a kind of interference from there. Can you hear me? Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm thinking the ordinary people would be the loser, and we cannot afford. We are so blessed. The amount of resources the Almighty endowed us, be it human or natural resources, is so enormous. There is enough money, there's enough resources to go around to provide education, to provide housing, Medicare, all basic things of life. We have enough resources. And the people in Delta, I'm not trying to be specific here, they do not need to go through what they are going through. The people in Yobe, in Yola, in Gombe, and all that kind of places, in Ondo and so on, they did not, the amount of poverty that stare at our face, we don't need it. So I'm saying, to round up, that there is a need to start talking about a solution, and one of the solutions should be restructuring. And then finally, there's also a need to get rid of my sister Ann was talking about the constitution. No nation that prosper. We want to work on a military constitution. So there's a need for us to again scrap this 1999 and create and work on a people's oriented institution. So everybody will know their right, everybody will be provided for, and so on and so forth. Again, I don't know how many of us really want war. So I'm available for questions. Thank you very much for having me.
So thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. I hope everyone can hear me. On this note, we will be bringing in Chief Goddy Uwazurike, who has rejoined us. Chief Uwazurike, yes. Thank you very much for finally being able to join us. Sorry for the a little bit hiccup at the beginning. Here you are now. You've been, you've obviously you've listened to what the last speaker said. So we just want to see, based on the topic, what your thoughts are.
Well, you know, this country actually needs a lot of work from everybody. The first thing we must do is never to give up. Those in possession of the coercive powers of this country are doing everything to make sure that people like you and I shut up completely. Dr. Obadiah Malaifa today was invited by the police. He has been a guest of the State Security Service twice in the past 1 week. But for us, we must keep talking. We were talking when the military guys were in their uniform. Now we keep talking, even now that they are in Abada. Believe you me, restructuring is the way to go. Level playing ground is the way to go. Having state police is the way to go. In this country, if we don't restructure, we'll continue to be slaves. And that is something I was never brought up to be. Let me just be very sincere with you. The load of the federal government is too much, and the way they're handling that load is also leaving a lot to be desired. What do I mean by that? Look at the military. Just check the top command. By the time you see the command, you ask about all those brilliant boys who entered the military. What happened to them? Are they still there? If they are there, why are we bungling the Boko Haram fight? Remember, Mr. President was so sure that within 3 months, Boko Haram would be a thing of the past. It is because in this country, there's no level playing ground. Now, go straight to the situation today where we have a president who 5 years ago promised a lot of things. I think there were 3 anchors. The first was fight corruption. Second was provide security. And the third, of course, was making sure that the economy is booming. I remember that time, somebody was earning 18,000 naira will go and buy rice for 7,000 naira and still have a lot of money left. But today, somebody who's on minimum wage cannot buy a bag of rice. That one is impossible. In those days, I used to buy petrol at 80-something naira per liter, but I know how much it is today. And in those days, I know how much the dollar was exchanging. But now look at it today. In a simple language, we are worse off than we were in those days. All those things have collapsed. What of security? I saw the chief press secretary, the media advisor to the president, bragging this night how it's not as bad as we think. We know how bad it is because we don't go with armed escorts. For me to travel from here to Ile-Ife or the whole of Osun State, I know what it means to me. First is the fear that I may not come back. You travel from here to the east, you want to pass through Ondo and those states. You know you carry a hat in your hand. Of course, you drive to Abuja, between Lokoja and Abuja, or you drive from Abuja to Kaduna, you know what to expect. So in terms of the seriousness of the situation, we, the ordinary people, we know. Then, of course, the anti-corruption fight has become a joke. It is in such a joke that even when the oversight function of the National Assembly is being exercised, the ministers take them for granted. Can you imagine Amechi telling us why we should not know the details of the Chinese loans? That is called situation going from bad to worse. NDDC is suddenly forgotten because the Minister for Niger Delta played a smart one, raised enough ruckus, raised enough brouhaha, and the substance will be forgotten. That is where we are. Sorry, I didn't apologize at the beginning, but let me just say this. This country made a mistake in 2015, we made another mistake in 2019. And what are we going to do about it? Fold our hands? No. 2023 is just around the corner. My suggestion remains that for the people of the Middle Belt, the South, for us to be liberated in this country, we must vote. First, we must choose a candidate who is really a candidate. I'm never tired of mentioning names, but this night I will not. Let me put it clearly. If you don't belong to any of the two major parties and you want to be a president of Nigeria, just forget it. It is only a party that has national spread that can make you president. And what is it we're asking for? When we said level playing ground, we're saying whatever goes around must come around. 1999, what did we do? Two Yoruba men were there. By an unwritten agreement, they settled for Olufalaye in place of Obonayan, who actually won the ballots in the convention. And they settled for Obasanjo, who couldn't even win his own home. In 2007, two Fulani men from Northwest were there. So Northwest has had its chance 2 times, Southwest once, South has had. And we're saying Southeast must have its chance. And that's a submission I will always stand for and stand by it any day. Let me just pause so that others can join, please. Thank you.
We thank you very much, Chief Uwazurike, for such a succinct presentation. We will be taking questions soon, but before we take, I hope all the speakers have made their presentation. Yes, for speakers. So,
yes, go ahead.
Yeah, before I want to ask one question, please. Our topic tonight is how do we get the 4 regional groups to speak with one voice to achieve what is their intentions for Nigeria? Does it mean that these 4 groups would like to exclude the Northeast and the Northwest in the scheme of things? Or what would a coalition of these 4 regional groups mean for the unity of Nigeria if they speak with such one voice? Will the other 2 regions now see it as a gang up and maintain a defensive position? How will it work? What will it look like? I think let's start from our first speaker, Honorable Jonathan Asake, please.
Honorable Asake, are you there? Can you unmute yourself, please? Honorable Asake, you haven't unmuted yourself. Can you please do?
Yes.
Okay.
Now you have.
Sorry?
Go ahead. Now we can hear you.
Okay, I didn't hear that part of the conversation.
I see. My question is this. The topic tonight is Southern and Middle Belt Coalition. Is it the panacea to Nigeria's existential crisis? Almost all the speakers agree that Nigeria today is facing an existential crisis. And now the suggestion is that if the 3 regions in the South cooperate with the Middle Belt region, they can form a coalition to kind of work out a solution that will benefit all the 6 regions. Now, my question is this: will the Northeast region and Northwest region see it as a gang up against them and then take a defensive position? Or how would they look at such a coalition if indeed it is formed? That's my question, sir.
And to add to that, please, can we make in answering that question, can we make it brief, 3 minutes, please?
Well, the Northwest region or the Northeast region, when you talk about the Middle Belt, first of all, the Middle Belt is basically in the Northeast, Southern Borno, Southern Yobe, Adamawa, Taraba, Southern Bauchi, and Southern Gombe. All those areas are Middle Belt. So the Middle Belt is 14 states. And Southern Kaduna, Southern Kebbi, they are in the Middle Belt. So when we have that large area, 14 states, that is called Middle Belt, and we come together with the rest of the South, there is no doubt about it that whoever we put as a candidate wins election in whatever party. But there are challenges. The institutional structures that are there, like I mentioned earlier, we cannot get anything done without restructuring, proper restructuring of this country. Particularly, let me bring INEC for instance. There is no doubt about it. When the Middle Belt and the southern part of Nigeria come together, there is no challenge to that election or to bring up a candidate and he wins election at any given time for as long as possible. But when we have the kind of INEC that we have today, that is not truly independent, where votes don't count, where people just vote, and they will tell you that this is the result we're expecting and it comes out like that, then we still have a long way to go. So we can come together, yes, we can come together, we can make the coalition, but we still have to work hard to restructure the country, particularly our basic national institutions, the security, the police particularly, INEC, and so on. When we come to a point where one vote can make one lose election or make one to win election, then we have come close to getting the right thing, and it will not matter whoever that stands for election, whether he comes from the West, from the East, from the South, Christian, Muslim, atheist, or whatever. If he's accepted by the people, he will work for the people. Let me give you an example of what we have in Kaduna State. The governor speaks to people as if we're conquered in a war, as if we're prisoners of war. We're citizens, law-abiding citizens. We're electorates that went to vote. But he talks to our leaders. He talks to our religious leaders, our traditional rulers, our political leaders, as if we're conquered in a war, without respect. And any leader that knows that votes count, one vote can make you win election or lose election, will never talk like that, will behave himself, will never play this dictatorship that we're seeing. So I think the problem starts with restructuring.
Thank you very much, Honorable. There is a second part to the question that was posed by Daniel Elomba. The second part of that question is, do you think that by coming together of these regions, you are going to upset, or would the others feel that they've been left behind, therefore maybe scuttling any coalition movement, any coalition pact you might, have built?
Anybody that will feel left behind is one that is a beneficiary of the crooked system, the inefficient system that is operational today. And that is why many of those that oppose restructuring are those that are direct beneficiaries of the crooked system that we are operating. And so we cannot wait for such people. What matters now is that this country needs to be redeemed. We don't need to remain in a situation where soon after a person is elected, he becomes a tin god. He decides whether you leave or you don't. He decides whether you are homeless or you have a home to stay. And that is what we're seeing today all over. That critical decisions that are supposed to be left to the citizens, no consultation with the citizen whatsoever, but you see implementation. And that is what I'm talking about. So anybody who feels left out of this decision to redeem this nation is a person who is benefiting from the crooked arrangement, which is oppressing everybody.
Okay, Dan, do you have a follow-up question to that? If not, we can move over to Ann-Kio Briggs. Daniel?
Sorry, I have no follow-up question. Our time is running, so let's...
Okay, so Ann-Kio, if you can respond to the initial question by Dan, I mean, just 3 minutes, please.
The issue of the coalition between the southern part of Nigeria, which is, as Jonathan have highlighted for us, if we then look at the coalition, and when he was talking, I did the maths, we then have altogether 31 states, assuming that we're able to pull off this this coalition, and assuming that we're concentrating on the political issues, which is the issue of restructuring Nigeria. Now, if we go and discuss restructuring Nigeria, if we recall, we had the 2014 National Conference. That 2014 National Conference is the sitting down that my friend Otunba was talking about. We sat down from May, April, till about August, and we agreed on the things that have become the contending points in Nigeria today. We agreed that Nigeria needed to be restructured. We suggested that Nigeria should be restructured. When you say restructure Nigeria, what are we talking about? We're talking about a country that will be governed as a federated country, as a federation. If you govern Nigeria as a federation, then the input Otunba made about California becomes valid. The desire that people like me have in my region, which is that we should be able to determine what we want for ourselves. People are thinking it's about oil and gas, No, I grew up I came to Nigeria as a 4-year-old to affluence. I mean, my grandfather was exporting palm kernel even before my father was born, and oil and stuff like that. So in that area, we were already quite rich before ever anybody discovered their crude oil. So it has nothing to do with crude oil. So now, if we want to say that this is the last stand for Nigeria, and if we want to say that let us agree on what we want, I know that my people want restructuring. We want to restructure Nigeria. There are some people today, right now, who will contribute on this program and will begin to agitate against us for even considering restructuring, because the federal government we have today have already told us, the president told us even before he was elected, that he didn't believe in the conference and that he doesn't believe in restructuring Nigeria. There's some of them say they don't understand what restructuring means. So what I see is a desire to continue to take us round and round in circle, because we seem to be the ones that want to restructure Nigeria. And so the people who don't want to restructure Nigeria, and they are only to be found in 5 states by this calculation, are still taking us round and round in circle. And so whether we have a candidate that all the 31 states will vote for in 2023, by Jonathan's calculation and by what we know, is that there is not going to be anything that resembles an election in 2023. But we have to get to 2023 before some will be convinced. And then we will know that there will be no elections. And that even if there is elections, the people who are in the 5 states, who are now running and controlling a country as big as Nigeria, are still the people that will determine who's going to win at that election. Look at what's happening in Edo State right now. Just take Edo State alone. Forget Ekiti and all those things that happened. Forget even what happened in Rivers State in 2019. So look, we really have to be able, for me, I've been in this for 22 years, focused on it. We have to begin to accept that this is the path we're going to take. And when I say we now, I'm talking about all of us coming together, Southern Nigeria plus the Middle Belt, coming together and saying, okay, this is the last chance. And then this is how we're going to do it. But the question is, are we going to be able to achieve that? And so if we're not able to achieve that, what we're planning now, and we drag ourselves all the way to 2023, and we don't achieve it, then what? Then who's going to take over? Because by 2023, I'll be in my 70s. I'll be definitely 70 years old in 2023. So then it means my grandchildren are preparing to come into this fight. We have to be realistic in Nigeria. We have to know that we've been kicked and battered and bruised since 1914 through on to 1960, and we must begin to find we must determine what the solution is going to be, and then go with that solution. And if it doesn't work, there must be an alternative. But that all of those things must have a timeline that will expire before 2023. Otherwise, it's a waste of time. I've been in this for 22 years, and I've lived in Nigeria for all the time that I have been in activism, fighting this equity and justice cause. And I know what I know. Unless the people in power today change their mind and do 360-degree turnaround, I do not see the hope that we are aspiring to. It's not going to come if this is the way we're going to go about it.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So just to get it, Otunba, if you can make it very snappy. Obviously, you've disagreed with the stand taken by Honorable Asake and Ann-Kio Briggs. So I don't know. I'm not saying that you must.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just I didn't disagree. I actually went from what he said and said that if we agree with what he's saying, then these are the options.
Yes, so Otunba, please go ahead. What I was alluding to is that obviously Otunba disagreed with what your initial presentation and what Jonathan Asake said. Therefore, Otunba, now you have the floor for 3 minutes before we will bring in Chief Goddy Uwazurike. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me correct that. Yeah, okay. Let me correct that, Mazi. Sure. I wasn't really contradicting or disagreeing with Honorable Jonathan and my sister Ann. All I was saying is I was looking at the problem of Nigeria holistically right from beginning. That we made this mistake of allowing ourselves to be used to be to be allowed to be trampled upon by few of us. That's when the problem started.
Okay.
And but then coming to but coming to the where we are now, because like I also said in my presentation that the amount of people part of the country that agitating that they want to break away and all that kind of thing. And when you look at their case, you want to understand in your country for the last 60 years or so, being ruled or being managed by less than 4%, taking advantage of everybody, stealing the commonwealth of the country, using it as they want, and so on and so forth. So if this large part of the country now react and say, enough is enough, I don't want to sit down in London and start blaming them. Of course not. So, but in order to get what I want to contribute to Honorable Jonathan and my sister Ann is if this calculation, if this permutation is achievable, or we can put this number of people together. This is not war, because again, like I said, like old politicians, I mean, in the UK say, there's no war we do. Now, I would say the amount of awareness we can put for 3 years, I'll be 76. I'm not saying it's not long enough. If we put amount of awareness, because one problem I found out is every time you're fighting for the poor people in Nigeria, you're wasting your time. You're wasting because they have been so bastardized. They have been ruined. They have been robbed of virtually what they stand for as a human being. So if you're talking of waiting until when the election or whatever comes, you'll be surprised that they be kept in the freezer there to be recycled. So I would think, yes, I want to go with that permutation of Honorable Jonathan. But then we need to do not just permutation here. We need to add other part of working, talking, and then doing the work. We need to start educating our people to make sure that we have the majority. So when it comes to election, then they can now vote for whoever we present. And finally, let me say this. I think I can share this with everybody here. I have spent substantial part of my life now in Europe, but I grew up in a house where education is so paramount. Politics is their number one hobby. And I can tell you, ever since I know politics in Nigeria, rigging is 99% out of the game. So if we do not have enough people that are well educated, that have enough awareness, rigging will continue to be, we might have the number, but we might not win the votes.
Okay. Thank you very much. But before Chief Uwazurike, please get ready. But before I bring Chief Uwazurike in, please, can you make this clarification? Because you rightly now just said that we've been ruled by 4%, and you made a comparison to if the 5 states wouldn't agree. And anyone listening might think, okay, this 4% you alluded to just came from these 5 states.
No,
can you please, so that people don't walk out with that impression?
No, Matthew, that's not what I'm saying. Do not forget that this less than 4% that is sitting on the commonwealth of the country and making the remaining 96% poor, they are scattered all over the place. All over the place. But the good thing about this is if the permutation we're talking about come to be, and enough people that are aware, they know exactly what we're talking about, and they're ready to go, they want to do the work with us, it doesn't really matter where the 4% is coming from.
Okay. So thank you very much. So we will be bringing Chief Uwazurike here, and he would have his remark. Then we will go to question. We will take about 4 to 5 questions at once, so that, obviously we're running out of time. So Chief Uwazurike, if you can unmute yourself and turn on your camera, let's see if you can just, you have heard what everyone was said. So what's your take?
My position as it is today is to face reality. The reality is that the diverse groups that actually constitute those middle belt and southern areas must come together, but that is a difficult task. In this case, we have to think of our political leaders in the two major political parties. In a simple language, they should start mobilizing for a big political war. When I say war, I don't mean carrying, I mean mobilizing voters first to register and get ready. Mobilizing them to join parties so that when they're doing their primaries, they have enough backup. And if you notice very well, the people from the Middle Belt and the southern states are scattered all over Nigeria. So that if we're ready to exercise our rights, we will make a lot of change. Yes, my sister Ann-Kio has said it. We're at national conference. We did all those things, including restructuring. And in that era, we're hoping that Jonathan will come back so that the conference report will be implemented. But I still remember some people shouting, who were at the conference? Oh, whatever you like, you do here. We know what we're going to do. And they did it. In other words, they mentioned that Buhari came in, and Buhari came in and said, I'm not interested in that report. I have not read it, and I will not read it. In other words, if it is good wisdom, bad idea, no, I'm not interested. And that is why Southern Kaduna is still boiling. I remember we treated Southern Kaduna and Benue specifically. Southern Kaduna is nothing but land grabbing. You drive out the indigents, the police will tell everybody wait, and the invaders will stay there, and the indigents will end up in all these independent camps, displaced people's camps. So we must be vigilant, and we must be prepared for the worst. And the worst, of course, means that if we don't prepare for election, we are preparing to lose. And I will not be deceived again. It does not matter who comes out, but we must have a target, which is to interest somebody. In doing that, we'll be sure to say, look, we're on the way, what we want. And finally, it's only a restructure-minded president who will go about restructuring the country. Some people have said restructure first, it's after restructuring, and then we'll talk about president from India. I think they're wrong. If you bring in someone like Buhari again in 2023, he will make sure that restructuring is suppressed. And I know that in the world today, you can only delay changes, but you cannot stop changes. Otherwise, go ask them in Russia what they did with Soviet Union. Go and ask them in Indonesia what is happening, and so on. But vigilance is the watchword. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful submission. So we will be, Dan, do you want to take the question section now? We will be bringing a Delhi Ajofo to be the first person to ask his question. Oh, Ajofo?
Yeah, Mazi, good evening, everybody.
Yeah,
mine is hardly a question. Mine is an information. Some of us here, like Otunba, Olabode said, are over 70. We've lived with these people who are so intransigent that no amount of discussion would appeal to them. Are we certain that they are willing to coexist with us, if not subjugating us? They tried it in Central African Republic. They were chased out. They've tried it elsewhere. I am saying that if we are not prepared to have peaceful coexistence with them, then, ladies and gentlemen, be prepared for war. Recently, during the lockdown, we had Almajiris, so-called Almajiris, descending on us in the south. I don't know an Almajiri that will be so able-bodied without his family, and we still stupidly in the south call them Almajiris. They're up to something. Injury to one is injury to all. If we don't all converge and rescue Southern Kaduna, we're on to hiding for nothing. Let's start and do the needful right away. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that brief and wonderful contribution. Then I'm going to be bringing in Elder Abase Lukanu. Elder, your contribution or question, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay. Just like last speaker, I think it's exactly what I want to say. That I said it last time. This up and down we're going, discussing this and that. These are people that are very, very little percentage holding the whole Nigerian ransom. Whether it's not West or not East, the minority or the Fulani there. Let the Middle Belt and the South get together, get rid of these people, and then give them condition. Do you want to stay with us or you go where you come from? Finish. Enough. And then we have to mobilize from the South. Start mobilizing and helping these people. If it is war, call it war. We have to liberate these people. What type of nonsense is this every day? Because Nigerians are so, German call it bequem. They are so, I don't know how to call it. They want to live life, flamboyant life. That's it. They are afraid of death. Look at what is happening in other countries. Enough is enough. We must do something. Let us get together. And mind you, we are saying Fulani. They are not only the problem. The Southerners, politicians, they give them money, they join with them. Look at what is happening. Our politicians in the Southeast and Southwest, all of them, in the red chamber and the green chamber, they pass the grazing this bill without questioning, without anything, because of money. So that's my own submission. Like my sister said, enough is enough. Let us do something now. And I'm glad that the Honorable said they have packaged the certain materials to the United Nations. And if possible, they can get across also, we in diaspora, we take action too. And then mobilize people. And then because the British, the Americans, you don't see it in the media, where all of us, we start, and those of you who are at home, start also writing to this government here. Why is it that CNN is not carrying it? BBC is not carrying it. German news is not carrying it with all these killings, all these things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think the next person is Tochukwu Okoye. Tochukwu Okoye, are you able to?
Yes, I'm able to carry on. Thank you very much, everyone. And thank you for allowing me to have a contribution here. My question is really to Otunba, because I was listening to him. He spoke about the effect that we're seeing now in Nigeria, that the cause of this effect is way, way far back in time. So my question to him is, does he think that this effect we're seeing now, that the cause is solely material? Is this solely material? If so, how do we go about reorienting the ideas and feelings of our people in a different direction, opposed to the one that we are on now? How do we go about doing that? Because I don't think that our problem is solely constitution or intellectual. I think in Nigeria, most of the people there are morally bankrupt. That is why unscrupulous politicians will come in and manipulate people in an opportunistic way. How do we go about reorienting our people's ideas and feelings in order to create this republic that we are looking for? Otherwise, all these ideas, okay, break up this, break up that, I don't think, to my opinion, it's going to work. The whole thing, people will still fight against themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Otunba, if you can, that question is directed at you. If you could basically take that, if you can take that, while after that, then Daniel, you can take the next section where the speakers, because we don't have further questions, where the speakers would obviously, put in their concluding thoughts and solutions. Otunba, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mercy. I do appreciate the question from the last speaker. I mean, the person that asked the question. But before I go there, I want to make reference to the person. I believe he lives in Germany. I want to share with him that also, when I left Nigeria in 1970, I first lived, I went to Germany and I lived there for 10.5 years. I went to university there. And because I've seen two sides of the world, I've seen what is going on in Africa, especially in Nigeria, and what is going on in other civilized parts of the world. They are just not the same. And that's why I was looking at the problem holistically from beginning, that because we allowed, we showed that we are not spiritually developed, not church or mosque. We are not spiritually developed that we can govern ourselves. As we speak, some people will even suggest that if Netherlands, that small Netherlands, what it took over, we have to ask him to come and fix us. Within a short period of time, they will fix Nigeria. What's the magic they are going to use? The magic will just be install rule of law. There's no magic that America, Germany, Switzerland, or whatever are using. It's maybe we disagree. These 4% are the people creating the problem. So to answer his question, forum like this we should start using forum like this to build up. Because like I just tell you, there's no free and fair election in Nigeria. I want to be challenged. There's no free and fair election, even at the calculated 31 states, 31 whatever we're talking about, put together. If these people are still in government, you cannot beat them. They're going to be difficult to beat. And like I said, it's not the 5 other states necessarily need to be part of the people working, part of the machinators are from Ondo, from Ogun. Different people put together are messing up the remaining millions of other people in Nigeria. So the question, to answer his question directly, is we need to start working. We need to start working on our people, because it's not only the game of numbers, but it's a game of awareness, the amount of awareness we can implant or imbibe in our people. Because when the election didn't please the majority of people in Belarus, what happened? They stand up. But we don't have that kind of electorate. We don't have that kind of number of people in Nigeria. Because of the poverty level, they will not stand up. And that's what I'm saying, please let us understand. The next 2 years or so, we can use it massively to educate, to plant an amount of awareness on our people so they know exactly what we are talking about. I hope I've answered the question of the gentleman.
Okay, we thank you very much, Otunba, for this presentation. We are now going to the roundup. There is no other hand that I'm seeing of someone who wants to ask any question. Now, we have identified the problem. I posted something on social media the other day where I said that all over the world, what you find in government is a lot of incompetent people, that it is only the masses who will hold them to account and make them find the correct direction. Now, my question is this: we have identified the problem. There is killings going on in southern Kaduna. And not only in southern Kaduna, the other time we have the Senator Osenie here, there are also killings going on in other parts of Kaduna State as well. There are killings going on in Zamfara State. There are killings going on in Katsina State. Much more killing going on in Borno and Yobe State. Kogi State, sometimes no-go area. So it appears as if Nigeria is heading to a standstill. Economically, we've been told that Nigeria spends 98% of the revenue to service debts. How much now remains for building the country? And now we have seen the price of oil, the value of the Naira is crashing. It is now going to 611 Naira to £1, and towards 475 Naira or 45 Naira to $1 or so. What will be your advice to the people representing the Middle Belt, the Southeast, Southwest, and South-South? What will be your advice, please, to them going forward from now to 2023? What practical steps do you expect them to take to see whether this coalition being talked about here will actually work to put Nigeria on the right path? So we start with the speaker, and then we use it also, please, to give us your rounding up talk, because after this, we will now be heading to a close. So let's start again the way we started. Honorable Jonathan Asake, please.
Yeah, like I said earlier, practically speaking, somebody who has participated in elections in this country before, like myself, I was in the House of Reps between 1999 to 2003, and I have been participating since then. But what I saw that, you know, played out in the last elections, it has brought a new dimension, that talking about just a coalition without looking at what is playing out will be a very difficult thing to fathom. And if you look at, if I imagine 2023, if we still go into 2023 with the same structures that we have, the way it is, it will be an uphill task for the coalition to make any meaningful impact, because we must be sure that votes will count, like I keep insisting. But if we are going the way we are right now, I'm not even sure that 2023 will be a reality. I'm not even sure, because with what we're seeing in Kaduna State, the arrogance of power we're seeing in Kaduna State, I don't know where that is drawn from. It can only be drawn from the kind of the crooked arrangement we have, which gives people this kind of brazen display of power where people, a whole set of people are ignored. And it can happen for this country, that close to the elections, with our coalition, people will begin to be thrown into detention, and they will make an arrangement that is outside the Constitution or outside constitutional provisions. So we really have to think of it very well when we are making the coalition. What actually are we really determined to achieve with the Middle Belt and the Southern Coalition? Number one, if we are determined to achieve a good electoral process, then we must ensure the reforms that are done with the electoral structures before that 2023, or else we must demand for something else and redeem this country. If what we're going through in Kaduna State is anything to go by, I wouldn't wish that the rest of the country go through the same arrogance of power, that somebody just by winning election determines whether you are considered a citizen or not. Right now, as I'm talking, the Fulani are claiming that they are the real owners of Southern Kaduna, and the indigents are not the owners. So, and the power that's be at the state is supporting that narrative. So I'm imagining that we have a replay of that, you know, at the national stage. It's going to be something different. So we really have to look at it.
Okay, we thank you very much. Let's take the next speaker, please. Ms. Briggs, it's your turn, please.
Okay. I've unmuted myself, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Well, I mean, I can only assume that myself and Jonathan are thinking and feeling and seeing this thing alike. I'm only able to do that not because I'm from a southern Kaduna, but I want to believe that looking at it politically, and coming from the region I come from and the state I come from and the experience we have had in election, particularly in 2015 and 2019, you needed to be in a week, more than a week, about 2 weeks before the 2019 election. The military took over the city of Port Harcourt, it was like there was a war already and that they were waiting for war. That was basically what we experienced. In my community, at the presidential election, my community was unable to vote. My local government, we were unable to vote. Over 50 people were killed in broad daylight. In my community, we just have one street in the community. People were killed because a particular party wanted to insist that the election there was won by the president. There was no way the president was going to win election in my community because his party is not on ground in my community. But that is what Jonathan is saying will play out. And I agree with him because I've experienced it, because that was how it was. And that's how it has been. That's how it is going to be. I reminded us of what is going on in Edo State right now, where there is a video floating around. This person is saying is this person is saying is that. You can clearly hear somebody saying to a diplomat of high standing of so many years, arrest them, arrest them, arrest, and everything will be this election, for God's sake. And it's supposed to be one man, one vote. And you are saying they should arrest the people so that they will not be able to vote freely. So basically, if truly we believe that we can solve Nigeria's problem politically, then we must face it politically. And the first thing to address is the agreement that we must restructure Nigeria. Restructure of Nigeria is not difficult. It can be done before 2023 election. Anybody who refuses to restructure Nigeria does not aim to conduct a free and fair election, and they will do what they want, and they will maintain the power. What I'm seeing going on, if we bear in mind that Buhari has done 2 tenures, which is permitted by agreement or law, understanding or whatever. But now what we are seeing very clearly is that the North, whatever that means, is not planning to give up power. Because if it is planning to give up power, it won't be as desperate as it is now. Our problem in the South, the Yoruba, the Igbo, and the Niger Delta, everybody wants to be vice president. Now, if you want to be vice president, then it means you don't want to be president. And so now, if we say that it is Tinubu that is preparing to come as president, then it means that Tinubu is selfish politically, because Obasanjo has done 2 tenures for the Yorubas. And so when it comes to the South, the Yorubas cannot have it again, because the Niger Delta have done 1 tenure of elective post. 1 tenure was what Jonathan did as a candidate that was voted for. The other one, he was finishing Yar'Adua's tenure because Yar'Adua died. So now, if that be the case, Yoruba people should not be angling for presidency because they've done 8 years. And Niger Delta people have only done 1 tenure. For me, I don't even want it to come to the Niger Delta. I want a restructured Nigeria, and I really don't care who becomes the president if Nigeria is restructured. So I still say that if it is coming to the South, then it should go to Igbo people, because they have not had even 1 tenure, while my people have had 1 tenure. But bottom line, the truth of the matter is that if you are in Nigeria, you live in Nigeria, you feel what is going on, you breathe what is going on, and you know what is going on, there is not going to be the type of election that people are used to in Germany and the United Kingdom and in America. It's not the election that we're going to have in Nigeria. We're going to have an election where, do what you like, they will announce who they want to announce as the winner of any election, from the senator all the way down to councillor. So we need to decide what we want to do. And if we decide wrongly, we will live with the consequences. If we decide rightly, we will be going in the right direction.
We thank you very much. Chief Uwazurike, please, your concluding comments. Chief Uwazurike, please. Do we still have him with us?
Hold on, Chief Uwazurike. No, I think he's been locked out.
Okay. Well, we have had the other speakers. Probably his network may have been disappointing again. Let me just ask this quick question. The speakers we appear to know what the Southern and Middle Belt people want. These regions have their representatives at the National Assembly. Is it difficult for the people who have the sovereignty to call the people, their servants at the National Assembly and tell them, look, this is what we want. And since you have the numbers, you can get it if you really, really want to have it. Why is it possible to do that? Honorable Jonathan, please, why is it possible to do that?
Possible or impossible?
No, why is it impossible? Why has it not been possible? Why is it impossible to do that? Yeah.
Jonathan? Okay. Jonathan, you are still muted.
Okay. You see, basically they say politics is a game of interest. And people define their interest, and when it comes to Nigerian politics, it's even more sort of where you see clearly what people should do and ought to do for the collective interest, even of their posterity. But they mortgage it oftentimes, getting what they will get for today. I'm telling you, when we have come together, for instance, as a bloc, saying we want to redeem Nigeria, you will see people will define their interest, personal interest, and begin to support candidates. You will see a person maybe from Port Harcourt who will be depended upon to take decisions, but he's busy supporting somebody in another part of the country, maybe in Kano, for his own personal gains. So it is difficult. Even the people we have as our representatives, are they really the representatives of the people? If you check each one of them, how he went to that particular position, you will trace him to a particular godfather or a particular group. And so his loyalty is with the particular godfather or particular group that took him there. And so when you talk about the general interest and the interest of the country, his own country is his own group or his own godfather. And so we have to contend with that. And we have come to a position where we worship money right now in our politics. And so people that throw up themselves, or people that are thrown up to represent us, most of them are not people that are the choice of the people. That is what we have today. So we have a lot of issues to contend with. And that is why I would always end by saying that without a properly restructured Nigeria, it's going to be difficult to realign this country the way we expect.
Okay.
All right, thank you. As if you don't mind, we are practically coming to the end of this discussion.
Yes, I think you can have a question from, I think Tim Elumba is raising his hand.
Yes, then after that question, we conclude, please. Tim.
Good evening, madam and gentlemen, at least the ones I can see from here. It's been a nice evening listening to our guests elaborating on issues that has been bedeviling the nation. But then, the last time I contributed to a program like this, I said, how long do we keep talking? How long do we have option B, plan B, so that if talking fails, what next? May I bring to our attention what happened in 2019. There was a program hosted by proponents of Igbo presidency. One of our guests here, Madam Ann-Kio Briggs, was one of the guest speakers on that occasion. I have a recording of all the speeches by the President General of Haneze Ndigbo. I have a recording of Chief Emmanuel Iwanyanwu and Okwesileze Nwodo and a host of other powerful speakers. In fact, I find it interesting to say that by the time Okwesileze Nwodo and other powerful voices we are about to speak, all the journalists have already deserted because they have gotten their honorarium and left. So I can confidently tell us that I am the only journalist that day who have a recording of every speech made by Nwodo, Ann-Kio Briggs, Okwesileze Nwodo, Iwanyanwu, and a host of others, because they made their speech in the later part of the day. I heard what they say, and all what they said points to the one fact that nothing is about to change. And it has always been my line of thought that nothing is about to change in Nigeria unless Southerners have option B. And option A, which is what we are doing now, which is part of what I'm doing now, is talking, and we have been talking, and we have been talking and talking. But if there is no option B, then I think we should save ourselves the breath, because to start with, I am not seeing anything that is about to change. When you talk of Northerners relinquishing power, I don't think they're about to do that in any year soon. And if that doesn't happen, what next? That is my question. What is our plan B? What is option B? Talking is not going to solve this problem. We have talked enough.
Okay, let's listen to Otunba and then the other speakers briefly, please, 30 seconds, and then we'll round up, please.
Okay.
Otunba, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I hope 30 seconds will be enough. My concern, like I said, I agree with all what we have discussed here, even though I was like a preacher. I'm not a preacher. I am a very practical and realistic person. I do understand. I know the magnitude of the problem. And like I said to you, growing up in Nigeria and also having spent for such a part of my life in Europe, I know what the people of Nigeria are going through. And I've dissected it and see that the only way out is to bring about the restructuring agenda. We need to put every pressure, everything we have to put pressure in restructuring the country. And in my presentation, I made examples of where the restructuring are working wonderfully well for people. So talking also about killings, yeah, even one person killed in Ondo State is too much. Not to talk of where large number of people are being killed every day in South Africa. I do appreciate that is unacceptable. So, but the biggest problem you and I have, and all of us are having here, is the people we want to lead these millions of people to vote for us and stand by and get their vote count, like Honorable Jonathan said, like my sister answered. You see, we need to educate these people. We need to educate them. Because like I said, there's no free and fair election in Nigeria. I grew up there and I know exactly what I'm talking about. So in order to carry these people to follow us to this promised land, we need to educate them. How do we go about educating them? It's also part of maybe the next program should start highlighting that. How do we educate them? We need to educate the majority of the people, because when the vote of the millions of other people are not counted, rigging is taking place like as usual. So what do you want to do about it? So you still go to settle for what we do not want. And Aka said, yes, it's convenient, it's okay that we say if they don't do that, of course there should be a plan B. But one of the plan B I'm talking about should be a massive awareness program to our people to be there in case we need to stand up. That's my final talk. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you very much, everyone. We have come to the end of this evening. And as Tim Elumba asked, I will take his question to be a rhetorical question. We have talked enough. What is the next action? The next action, you all know, we are a civil people. Nigeria is a country that is apparently deaf, that only hears when something makes a big, loud bang noise. Ann-Kio Briggs is one person I've known, and that she has always argued about, and she has always said that those talking, as we have discussed this evening, should be, in actual sense, those that should be talked to. Therefore, it actually should be the other way around. Those who aren't now talking should be the one talking to us. But again, because we're peaceful people, that's why the conversation continues. Now, once more, again, the conversation this evening had centered on the Southern and Middle Belt Coalition, a panacea to Nigerians' existential crisis. It means Nigeria, as we are today, we found ourselves at a crossroad where the foundation of what ought to build and be the foundation of this nation is very shaky. We then have this conversation this evening. Everyone has made input. The conversation doesn't stop. We keep having this conversation even as we go out and log out of this meeting. We thank Governance Index that made this conversation possible by giving us this platform. Once more, Governance Index is a social enterprise that is dedicated to purposeful leadership around the world. And we had, as guest this evening, Chief Goddy Uwazurike, who is a lawyer and the former president, Aka-Ikenga, a social cultural group. Now, sadly, he had left before we concluded. Also in our midst today, who also updated us on what is happening in Southern Kaduna, is Jonathan Asake, who is the president of Southern Kaduna People's Union, SOKAPU. Jonathan, thank you very much for being part of this conversation this evening. And thank you very much, because as we are aware that you are in Southern Kaduna and the network is not the most friendly, it's always very difficult for you to find a place that you can get network to stay for this long. And we are very grateful that you were able to stay this long. Also, we have Ann-Kio Briggs, a human rights activist. And everyone knows who she is. She takes very serious stance when people want to shy away from national discourse. Also, and lastly, we have Otunba, Hashim, Olabode, Osenie, a political and public affairs commentator. As you all know, he studied in Germany, like myself. I would say, schönen guten Abend nochmal. So on that note, I would say thank you very much for being part of this conversation this evening. It has been a fantastic conversation. And the moderator this evening remains Daniel Elumba, the CEO Elumba Communications. And I am your host, Mazi Tochukwu Ezoke. Remain blessed. And good evening, everyone. Sorry.
Schönen Abend.
Yeah, schönen guten Abend.
Yeah,
I'll be the same.
I'll be the same.
Okay.